Let's talk about three ways to reduce the feelings of overwhelm when you are facing stressful situations or when you're facing the storms of life, whatever that looks like for you. Everything is elevated. Your senses are heightened. Our feelings tend to be aroused, oftentimes not in a good way. We oftentimes feel so stressed out that we end up letting ourselves go a bit because we're trying to scramble to tread water just to survive the situation that we are experiencing. So I think, it's important to pause, take some time to pause, to kind of step back where you can. So you can kind of breathe a little bit and take a moment to think about how you can organize your way through the crisis that you're experiencing. And even if it's not a crisis, if it's a stressful situation, but not necessarily a crisis, how can you organize your way or regulate yourself in a way so that you can get yourself through the storm and be able to outlast the situation that you are experiencing. So I think, it's important to consider that we are an integrated system, that there are three parts of us that it's important to nourish when we are in stressful situations. So I like to take a very holistic approach in ensuring that we are tending to all three parts of us: spirit, mind, and body. So let's first start with our spirits. It's important that we anchor ourselves in something that's greater than ourselves. So, just to use myself as an example, I'm a woman of faith, I'm a Christian. So, I spend time nourishing my spirit every morning, first thing in the morning, by praying, meditating in the Word, studying the Word. And for me, that is my way of tending to my spirit, lifting my spirit up. That helps to set the rest of my day. It sets the atmosphere and it sets my mood for what I may encounter throughout the day. So, for you, even if you're not a Christian, what is it that you can anchor yourself that's greater than yourself to help nourish your spirit? And even if it's not every day, start somewhere. If it's 2 days a week, 4 days a week, consider your schedule. How much time do you have? Just start somewhere. You can always expand that time as you do more of it, as you practice nourishing your spirit more and more. For me, I like to spend anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour each and every day. But believe me, I had to slowly work myself up to that time. Start with 5 minutes. If that's all you have, start there, and then you can expand it over time. Next, you want to nourish your mind. We are taking in so much information from the time we get up to the time we go to bed. And you want to stay conscious of what kind of information are you consuming, anywhere from information that you're taking in on social media platforms, news consumption, movies that you're watching, music that you're listening to, words that you're taking in from family, from friends, people that you're around all the time. Just consider, what kind of information is it? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it more negative than good? And vice versa. So let's talk about the news. That's an important place to start, just because the news is so negative and it's on a 24/7 cycle. You want to think about, how much news are you consuming? Because it's so negative, because it showcases so much violence, a lot of crimes, a lot of divisive issues, the climate of our politics. I mean, the list goes on and on. And at the same time, you do want to stay abreast of current affairs, which is important, right? You want to be aware of what's going on in our world, but we want to be balanced about it, right? So, maybe, if you have a habit of watching the news every day, can you begin taking the small steps to reduce how many days a week that you're watching the news? So, if it's 7 days a week, maybe you can start with 5 days a week and then gradually work your way down to 2 to 3 days a week, just as an example. I mean, you come up with your own schedule that works best for you, but just think about, the frequency of your consumption and the impact that it really has on you. It really does end up having a great impact on your emotions, on your mood, and your perception of other people as well. So just think about that. And again, using myself as an example, I used to love watching the news all the time, every day, but it had such an impact on my mood, on my perspective, and my outlook on life. I had to make changes. And so now I went from 7 days a week, and now I'm watching it anywhere from 1 to 2 days a week, just because, I have to do everything that I can to be sure that my mood is not shifting over to the negative because of the information that I'm taking in. So just think about that. How can you take baby steps in just slowly reducing your consumption? We want to be balanced. Yes, you want to know what's going on, but how much information do you really need to take in regards to the news? Also, again, movies, music, the people that you're around. Are you around positive people or negative people? What kind of information are you listening to? Right? So again, just keeping that in mind, being mindful of what you're around every day. You just want to be sure that you're focusing more on the good more often than not. Okay? Focusing on the good. You want to take in more positive than negative. And then finally, you want to nourish your body. Your body is what encases all of you, right? Your spirit and your mind. Your body requires movement. So you want to keep it healthy. You can take small steps. For example, let's say when you are going to the grocery store and maybe you have a tendency to park closer to the door, maybe challenging yourself to park a little further away from the door just so you can get more steps in throughout the day. Just small steps like that you can take. Really, it really does make a difference. Or maybe instead of taking the elevator, you can take the stairs or the escalator sometimes, right? Get some exercises in by watching YouTube exercise videos or going to the gym. I mean, there's always a way to increase your movement. It helps to release the feel-good hormones. It helps to increase your mood, where you just feel better overall. It also helps to shift your perspective, where you have a more positive outlook on life. And you get enormous benefits, health benefits as well. But we won't go into that now. So again, you want to nourish your spirit, your mind, and your body. It takes practice. It's not something that you can accomplish all overnight, right? So you want to just take baby steps. Just start in one place. Maybe it's just nourishing your spirit in some way. 5 minutes, just start there. And then again, you can expand that over time. 5 minutes with movement, expand that over time. And the same thing with your mind. What kind of information are you taking in? Limiting news consumption, focusing on the good, and focusing on the good more often than not.